Miami Heat versus Orlando Magic. The NBA season tips off with a Southeast Division battle between the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic at Kia Center in Orlando. Both teams enter the 2025-26 campaign at 0-0, looking to set the tone early in what could be one of the most competitive divisions in the East. The Heat, traditionally a playoff mainstay, are balancing veteran leadership with emerging young talent, while the Magic continue their rise as one of the league's most intriguing young cores. According to analytics, Orlando holds a 69.9% edge to win, thanks to home court advantage and roster continuity, while Miami stands at 30.1%, facing depth challenges due to early season injuries. For Orlando, this matchup marks a chance to build on last year's late-season momentum, when they finished strong behind Paolo Banchero's breakout all-star form and the continued development of Franz Wagner. Miami, meanwhile, enters the season with questions surrounding offensive consistency, especially with Tyler Herro sidelined until mid-November and backup guard Kasparas Jakucionis out until later this week. The Heat will rely heavily on Jimmy Butler's two-way leadership and Bam Adebayo's inside dominance to offset their depleted backcourt. The Heat's preseason form was mixed, losing 4 of their last 5 contests, including close defeats to Atlanta, 119-118, and Orlando, 120-104. Their lone bright spot came in a high-scoring 141-125 loss to Memphis that showed flashes of their offensive potential but underscored defensive lapses. The Magic, on the other hand, appear sharper, winning 3 of their last 5 exhibition games, including impressive outings versus New Orleans, 132-125, and Milwaukee, 126-118. That blend of youthful energy and efficient offense has positioned Orlando as an early favorite to start fast this season. Injury news could play a decisive role. Miami lists center Kel'el Ware as a game-time decision, which could significantly affect interior matchups if he's unavailable. Herro's absence removes one of Miami's best perimeter scorers, forcing more playmaking responsibilities onto Butler and veteran point guard Terry Rozier. Orlando also has its share of concerns, with forward Moritz Wagner ruled out and guard Jalen Suggs listed as questionable. Still, their core rotation remains intact, giving them a more stable lineup heading into the opener. Statistically, the Magic's offense enters 2025-26 with an upward trajectory, averaging over 120 points in their last 3 preseason wins while maintaining top-tier ball movement and three-point shooting efficiency. Banchero's ability to facilitate from the forward position creates mismatches, especially against a Miami team that tends to switch defensively. For Miami, success will hinge on Adebayo's ability to anchor the defense and generate second-chance points inside. The Heat will need supporting shooters like Duncan Robinson and Jaime Jaquez Jr. to stretch the floor and keep Orlando's defense honest. The broader Southeast Division picture adds further intrigue. Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, Washington, and Charlotte all begin the year even. But with Atlanta projected as an early leader, every divisional game carries weight. For Miami, a road win here would be a statement that despite injuries, Erik Spoelstra's system and culture remain playoff caliber. For Orlando, a victory would reinforce their growing status as a legitimate postseason contender, capable of defending their home floor and challenging for a top 6 seed in the East. The X factors in this matchup revolve around execution and endurance. If Butler takes control offensively and dictates tempo, Miami can neutralize Orlando's youthful pace. Conversely, if the Magic's backcourt, led by Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz, controls ball movement and transition play, they could wear down Miami's rotation early. The Heat's bench scoring will be tested, particularly without Herro, while Orlando's depth, including Joe Ingles and rookie additions, may provide a decisive edge. Prediction: given Orlando's healthier roster, home court energy, and sharper preseason rhythm, the Magic enter as clear favorites. Expect a tightly contested first half before Orlando's athleticism and balanced scoring pull away late. The final outcome projects a Magic win, 118-108, as Miami struggles to sustain offensive consistency beyond its stars. Still, if Butler delivers a vintage performance and Adebayo dominates the boards, the Heat could turn this opener into a grinded-out thriller. For now, the numbers and momentum lean toward Orlando, who appear ready to open the 2025-26 season with a statement victory on their home floor, backed by a confident roster and strong preseason form. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Orlando Magic winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Detroit Pistons versus Chicago Bulls. The 2025-26 NBA season tips off in Chicago as the Bulls host the Detroit Pistons in a Central Division showdown that brings together two franchises searching for redemption and direction. Both clubs enter opening night with clean 0-0 records, but vastly different narratives. Chicago, buoyed by off-season optimism and a deeper roster, looks to reassert itself as a playoff contender after seasons of inconsistency. Detroit, on the other hand, continues its patient rebuild, leaning on its young core and newfound depth to make a statement against a division rival. According to analytics projections, Chicago enters with a 59.5% chance of victory, slightly favored over Detroit's 40.5%, underscoring just how close this opener could be. While there are no pitchers in basketball, the dynamics of this matchup are defined by the backcourt duels and veteran versus youth contrasts that resemble a pitching battle in their influence over game flow. The Bulls' veteran leadership in the guard rotation, despite Kobe White's absence due to injury, will rely heavily on steady ball distribution and shot creation. Detroit counters with emerging guards like Marcus Sasser and Caris LeVert, both listed as game-time decisions, who, if cleared, could provide the spark necessary to offset the Bulls' experience advantage. The Pistons' offensive rhythm will likely hinge on Cade Cunningham's playmaking and Jalen Duren's interior dominance, setting up a fascinating stylistic clash against Chicago's perimeter-oriented attack. Offensively, both teams showcased firepower during the preseason. The Pistons closed exhibition play on a 3-2 stretch, notching impressive wins such as a 128-112 victory over Memphis and a 119-98 rout of Washington. Their offense showed notable balance, with improved ball movement and a more confident shooting presence from the wings. The Bulls, meanwhile, matched that record with their own 3-2 preseason mark, highlighted by a 126-120 win over Minnesota and close contests against Denver and Cleveland. Chicago's scoring depth, particularly through DeMar DeRozan's mid-range excellence and Nikola Vucevic's interior touch, remains their biggest weapon. The question remains whether Detroit's youthful defense can withstand that sustained pressure across 4 quarters. Recent trends suggest both teams are entering the opener in respectable form, but health remains an immediate storyline. Detroit's Jaden Ivey has been ruled out until late November, removing one of their most dynamic slashing threats. LeVert and Sasser, being game-time decisions, could test the Pistons' guard rotation and scoring versatility. For Chicago, the absence of Kobe White until early November and forward Zach Collins until mid-November thins their rotation, potentially increasing the burden on DeRozan, Vucevic, and defensive anchor Alex Caruso. Depth will play a critical role. Whichever bench can maintain scoring consistency may determine the outcome. From a standings perspective, both teams are starting from scratch in the Central Division, which also features heavyweights like Milwaukee and Cleveland. For Chicago, this opener is a chance to set the tone early in a season where playoff positioning will likely come down to tight margins. A home victory would build confidence before a difficult early schedule, while Detroit seeks to establish credibility and cohesion for its young core. Winning on the road against a divisional rival would be a significant statement that their rebuild is turning a corner. Several X factors loom large. For Chicago, defensive discipline and fast break execution will be key, especially without their full roster. DeRozan's ability to create offense late in the shot clock could swing momentum, while Vucevic's rebounding presence will test Detroit's front court. For the Pistons, the X factor could be Cade Cunningham's composure and shot efficiency. If Cunningham controls tempo and limits turnovers, Detroit can neutralize Chicago's half-court defense. Additionally, rookie contributions off the bench, possibly from Ausar Thompson or Isaiah Livers, could provide the spark the Pistons need to overcome inexperience, adding energy and depth that might tilt the game in their favor. Injuries on both sides inject a layer of unpredictability, but Chicago's overall balance, home court advantage, and veteran core make them slight favorites. Detroit's youthful energy could keep the game competitive, especially if LeVert and Sasser are cleared to play. But the Bulls' offensive consistency and experience in late-game situations may ultimately decide it. Expect a spirited contest marked by surges and defensive adjustments before Chicago edges out a narrow win to open the season. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Chicago Bulls winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Los Angeles Clippers versus Utah Jazz. The Los Angeles Clippers and Utah Jazz open their 2025-26 NBA campaigns with a high-stakes clash at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, where two franchises at different stages of their journey meet under bright lights and fresh expectations. The Clippers enter the season viewed as one of the Western Conference's top contenders, boasting a retooled roster built for a deep playoff push, while the Jazz continue their patient rebuild, relying on young prospects and emerging talent. According to analytics, the Clippers hold a commanding 74.2% chance of victory, underscoring the gap in experience and roster balance between these two squads. Still, with Utah's youthful energy and home court advantage, this matchup has the potential to surprise early in the season. The Clippers' off-season focus has been on health and continuity, and despite missing guard Jordan Miller out until October 24th, they remain one of the league's most balanced teams. Tyronn Lue's squad looks to establish dominance through elite defense and efficient perimeter shooting, with veterans expected to set the tone early. The Jazz, meanwhile, will navigate through early absences of key contributors. Isaiah Collier and George Niang are both sidelined, while promising guard Ace Bailey is a game-time decision. For head coach Will Hardy, the season opener offers an early glimpse into how effectively Utah's young core can compete against a disciplined, playoff-tested opponent. Both teams bring contrasting momentum into the night. The Clippers wrapped up preseason play in rhythm, winning 4 of their last 5 exhibitions, including a statement 106-103 win over Golden State and a convincing 142-95 blowout against Guangzhou. Their lone setback, a 120-101 loss to Denver back in May, remains a distant memory from last postseason. Utah's form, however, has been mixed. They split their last 5, highlighted by a thrilling 132-129 overtime win over Portland, but followed by a 140-127 loss at Houston, signaling both offensive potential and defensive inconsistency. The Jazz's inability to close out tight games was an issue last season, and rectifying that will be crucial if they hope to compete in a stacked Northwest division. In terms of team trajectory, the Clippers sit among the Pacific Division's powerhouses, aiming to keep pace with Golden State and Phoenix. Their veteran stars know that every early win counts in securing playoff seeding, particularly in a conference where margins are razor-thin. Utah, meanwhile, sits at the bottom of the Northwest Division entering the year, looking for developmental growth rather than immediate contention. Still, with young players like Bailey and Collier projected as future centerpieces, this season's results are less about standings and more about establishing an identity. Injury management looms large over this matchup. Without Miller, the Clippers lose some bench scoring and defensive versatility on the perimeter, but their depth, particularly in the forward rotation, mitigates that loss. Utah's issues are more significant. Collier's absence removes a key playmaker, while Niang's scoring void at the forward spot forces Hardy to lean heavily on untested reserves. Bailey's availability could be decisive. If he plays, his athleticism and ability to create in transition could inject much-needed energy against an experienced Clippers defense. Key X factors are efficiency and tempo. The Clippers' pace control and half-court execution will challenge Utah's defense, and if Los Angeles' shooters get hot early, the game could swing decisively in their favor. For the Jazz, second-chance points and paint presence will be critical. Their young front court must establish physicality to slow down the Clippers' inside-out offense. Another key storyline is whether Utah's bench can hold its own against one of the league's deeper second units, a challenge that could define the game's tone beyond the starting five. Overall, Los Angeles holds the advantage across nearly every metric. Their cohesion, experience, and two-way efficiency give them a clear edge over a Jazz squad still seeking chemistry. Expect the Clippers to rely on their defensive pressure to force turnovers and create transition scoring opportunities, while the Jazz will aim to counter with pace and spacing from their young guards. Prediction models lean heavily toward a Clippers win, projecting them as roughly 3-1 favorites. Still, Utah's home crowd and youthful enthusiasm could make this opener more competitive than expected, at least early on. Prediction: Los Angeles Clippers 118, Utah Jazz 104. The Clippers' depth and defensive organization should overwhelm a shorthanded Utah team, setting the tone for a promising start to their 2025 to 2026 campaign. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Los Angeles Clippers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Portland Trail Blazers. The 2025-26 NBA season tips off in Portland as the Trail Blazers host the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Moda Center, marking the first step in what both teams hope will be defining campaigns. Minnesota, coming off a strong preseason and buoyed by playoff ambitions, enters as the favorite with a 64.7% win probability, while Portland, still finding its footing in a rebuilding phase, looks to make an early statement at home. Both teams begin at 0-0, but the context surrounding each roster couldn't be more different. The Timberwolves aim to solidify their status as a Western Conference contender, while the Blazers are working to grow around young guard Scoot Henderson and a reshaped front court. Minnesota's story starts with Anthony Edwards, who enters the season as a budding superstar after a breakout year in 2024 to 2025. Edwards is listed as a game-time decision due to a minor issue, but is expected to play. Alongside Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, Minnesota boasts one of the league's most physically imposing lineups, blending rim protection and scoring versatility. The Timberwolves' preseason record, 2-3, reflected experimentation rather than weakness, featuring a high-paced offense that averaged over 120 points per game. The biggest challenge will be consistency from their backcourt depth, especially with Edwards' health not yet at 100%. For the Trail Blazers, this opener represents the dawn of a new era. With Damian Lillard sidelined until April and Robert Williams III out until late October, Portland turns its attention to development. Scoot Henderson, though also unavailable until November, has shown flashes of star potential, leaving veteran forward Jerami Grant and sharpshooter Anfernee Simons to carry the offensive load. In preseason play, the Blazers went 1-4, losing close contests to Utah, Golden State, and Sacramento, but showing improved ball movement and defensive cohesion. Portland's young core, bolstered by DeAndre Ayton in the paint, must rely on tempo and transition scoring to keep up with Minnesota's size. Recent trends slightly favor the Timberwolves, who finished last season strong and continued to post competitive preseason performances. They recorded wins over Indiana, 135-134, and Guangzhou, 134-74, while dropping competitive games to Philadelphia and Chicago. Portland, meanwhile, struggled to close games late, allowing over 120 points per contest in its final 3 preseason outings. Yet at home, the Blazers remain unpredictable, capable of riding the Moda Center crowd to momentum swings, especially early in the year. The Northwest Division race already shows its familiar hierarchy, with Oklahoma City opening 1-0 and both Minnesota and Portland sitting half a game back. For the Timberwolves, a strong start could be crucial in keeping pace with the Thunder and Nuggets, while the Blazers' season is less about wins and more about discovering their future identity. Still, early upsets can set a tone, and Portland's young roster will look to prove it belongs in the competitive Western mix. Injury concerns loom large on both sides. Edwards' status could directly affect Minnesota's offensive rhythm, while Portland's absences, particularly Lillard's leadership and Williams' rim protection, create a void that no single player can immediately fill, leaving the Blazers to rely on role players and bench contributions to stay competitive. Head coach Chauncey Billups may turn to a smaller, switch-heavy lineup to counter Minnesota's interior strength, emphasizing perimeter shooting and hustle. Chris Finch's Timberwolves, conversely, will lean into their size advantage, aiming to dominate the glass and control tempo through disciplined half-court sets. The X factors in this matchup include Minnesota's three-point accuracy and Portland's bench energy. If Naz Reid and Mike Conley can stretch the floor early, the Wolves' offense could overwhelm Portland's developing defense. Conversely, Portland's chances hinge on Simon's scoring explosions and Ayton's ability to neutralize Gobert inside. The home crowd could be an intangible boost, one the Blazers will need to overcome early jitters and missing firepower. Prediction: Minnesota's balance, defense, and star talent give them a clear edge. Even if Edwards plays limited minutes, their front-court dominance and veteran guard play should wear down a depleted Portland squad. Expect competitive stretches, but the Timberwolves' depth and experience likely secure a comfortable season-opening win. Final outlook: Minnesota 118, Portland 106, with a statement game from Karl Anthony Towns, solid supporting performances, and a glimpse of Portland's promising, if still incomplete, future on both ends of the floor. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Minnesota Timberwolves winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.